got that optimization insider.
And we're back. I'm here with Pep. Pep, you're going to be talking here in a little bit.
That's right.
Give us a sense of who you are and what you do, and then we'll talk a little bit about your expertise.
Well, my name is Peep Laja. I run CXL Institute and also the whole company CXL, which is also a conversion optimization agency. So we work with clients, helping them with their optimization stuff, and then we do training courses, certification programs to help people become better at optimization and all things data-driven marketing.
Awesome. And so today you're going to talk about the work that goes in before you actually get into the actual test.
Exactly.
Why is that so important?
Well, if you're testing the wrong things, you're just wasting time. I mean, if you're testing things that will make no difference, you're just wasting time, money, effort. So the most important part about testing is knowing what to test.
Right. So can you give us a couple common mistakes for people that they don't think about, or that maybe they should be thinking about before they get to the testing point?
Right, so don't test random ideas. So whenever somebody comes and says, hey, I have an idea, let's test this. Well, what are the odds that it will actually work? The odds are very, very low. Unless your website is horribly bad, then it's easy to find obvious things to fix. But if it's a delicate website, you can't go with opinions. You need to do research to find out what the actual problems are with your website. Why more people aren't taking action, buying, donating, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you test ideas for solving those problems.
Right. And now is one of the challenges of choosing a key outcome that will actually make a significant difference in the business. So for example, I've seen people test something that's very, very minute, right? And then you go, well, what do we change now that we've figured that out?
Absolutely.
Is that a wasted test?
Absolutely. You always need to test bottom line changes. So if your testing is, let's increase click-through on this button so people get to the other page. Well, there's no causal relationship between more clicks and more money. So if just you're getting more clicks, you have no business impact. So you always need to measure, are we getting more, whatever your end goal is, more emails, more money, yeah.
Or I've seen a lot of tests on button colors, right? And that's not to say you can't test button colors, but
it is one of the silliest things to test.
I don't really learn anything about my donors or my customers, whether they click a red or a blue button.
And the odds of you having a positive impact testing buttons, very, very small.
Right.
With button colors, your key button just needs to be a unique color that stands out from the other colors on the side. And
so so if that's a silly one, what are some not silly ones that are just generally speaking, particularly for nonprofits, what are some kind of good things?
You want to invest most of your time on testing your value proposition and figuring out what the value proposition should be to begin with. So that includes a lot of qualitative research, understanding what resonates with your end users, and so on and so forth. So value proposition, not just on your homepage, but on all the top landing pages where people land on, through a Google search or whatever.
Yeah.
So they need to understand, why they should take action. So and also tests that are designed to increase user motivation. User motivation usually is much more impactful than lowering friction. Running tests that are designed to lower friction, like making it easier to take action, also important, but motivation even more so.
So can you talk a little bit more about that, and maybe this is what you're going to talk about, because that's the hardest thing, for me as a marketer, is the motivation side. So we can play with form fields and layout, that the friction sides, but how do you go about running a good test for motivation?
Well, as I said, qualitative research, talking to people.
Maybe the qualitative research. Tell us a little bit about the good process there. Customer interviews,
So
surveys.
Customer interviews is good. Of course, interviews don't scale, so it takes a lot of time, effort, even money to get insight. So surveys scale very well, but of course it's very important to ask the right questions. And in surveys, you always want to use free-form answers, no multiple choice, because if you do multiple choice questions like, are you donating because A, B, C, D, then you're assuming that you already know all the reasons people are donating.
Right.
So don't assume that, and just ask them, and try to avoid also like why questions, because when you ask why, people, let's say like you survey people after they donated, after they bought something, is why did you buy this thing? Or why? Then when you ask why, you trigger a part of the brain that goes into post-purchase rationalization. They give you a rational answer. So it's better to phrase it as, what made you do something? So then you reduce the bias in the answer.
So then it becomes, so instead of asking like why, which gets emotional and then people feel bad about their purchase, what made it, they get more logical maybe in terms of like the steps.
Exactly, because typically all purchases and donations are emotional. So you need to understand the core driving emotion behind their actions.
Yeah, we were just talking to Brian who was talking about empathy, and we're saying it's got to always be a problem in marketing because people make emotional decisions and then rationalize them. But it seems, especially in giving, it's so emotional. And when you do try to ask donors those questions, a lot of them don't even know, and they won't say because, I felt guilty. They'll avoid some of the more negative emotions.
Yeah.
So are there ways to create tests for that?
Well, I mean, you want to understand. Through your qualitative research, surveys, and interviews, you want to identify possible motivational driving forces. And then it's like, well, how can we write our value proposition in a way that resonates people? And you don't know what's going to work, so you need to come up with multiple different ways how to convey the message, and then you test that. Because even though if you know what the problem is, that like our message is just not clicking with people, that doesn't mean that you instantly know the right solution.
Right.
And also with surveys and qualitative, you can also identify friction. So for instance, you ask them, before you made the donation, what were the questions you had in your mind? Or what were some of the doubts and hesitations you had?
Yeah.
And then those doubts and hesitations should be addressed in the copy on those pages.
Right.
It's like, how do I know that my money actually reaches, those people in need and doesn't go into admin costs? So the best way to combat friction in the sales process, so to speak, or let's say their counter arguments to donating, the best way to overcome this is to just address it in your copy.
Right. Well, I don't want to spoil all of your session that's coming up, but thank you so much for taking a few questions. Really looking forward to learning more and making sure we can run good quality tests. So thank you very much for stopping by. We'll see you online in a little bit, and we're going to throw to something, and we'll be right back here in a second.
Optimization inside it, baby.